You're very welcome back, Nigeria. It is indeed time for the newspaper review, where we have a look at what all the Nigerian daily newspapers are saying in Nigeria and indeed the world beyond. We begin today with the Nation newspaper. What's that saying? It says, alleged arms discovery. Malami faces DSS probe. This matter doesn't seem to be dying anytime soon. We move all the way to the Daily Independent. Fubara urges calm, assures on resolution of ongoing crises. We've uncovered a plot to stop our functions. This was said by the Rivers Assembly. Moving on to first daily paper, impeachment war. Rivers Assembly alleges plot to block Fubara's removal. Lawmakers vow ex parte orders won't derail process. And Fubara urges calm as crisis deepens. He's very calm despite it all. The Daily Times says, Rivers political chess. Power is taken, not given. Wike fires back at critics. This Nigeria has a March 2026 deadline. Banks under pressure over recapitalization. 22 compliant, 12 risk mergers or license downgrade. Economists warn of consolidation and regulatory sanctions. And just under that, a sub-headline, the FCT police arrest 3 suspects linked to Abuja lawyer's killing. Platform Times, outrage as Katsina plans release of 70 banditry suspects. Kinetic or non-kinetic, we'll find out with our in-house analyst, Mr. Biodun Shomi. On the Blueprint paper, again, gunmen kill 4 in Niger. Katsina defends planned release of 70 bandits. And over on the Punch, it says MDAs inject 3.5 trillion naira new projects despite federal government freeze. Power, transport and health dominate new spending as fresh projects take 15% of the capital budget. And on the leadership paper, recapitalization, combined capital of 21 banks hits 5.14 trillion naira. And Nigerian News Direct has this, Heritage Bank, NDIC declares 24.3 billion naira second liquidation dividend for depositors. And on the Hope newspaper, encomiums as Ondo governor turns 61 today. That is Governor Aida Tiwa, a big philanthropist. We love him here on this table. And for the Nature news, Mexican students turn water crisis into innovation. They secure the Zayed Prize spot. And finally, Sporting Life newspapers, Lukman leads Mo Salah as AFCON MVP. Very interesting. Now we have our in-house analyst, Mr. Biodun Shomi, here to do this with us because I can't do it alone. So let's get down to brass tacks. We're beginning as usual with the Nation newspaper. An alleged arms discovery. Malami faces a DSS probe. Now this is going past just assets and allegations of gross misconduct, Mr. Shomi. They are now saying that there were arms discovered. This is leaning towards terrorism financiering, if I'm correct. So it's very worrisome. I saw an interview yesterday with the EFCC chairman, Mr. Olukoyede, and he did that interview with Sheung Akimbaloye, I believe, and he was coming out to say, you know, it's not a witch hunt against Malami. The EFCC is simply doing their due diligence. But with this headline of alleged arms discovery, it seems that this corruption now affected the greater populace of Nigeria.
Yeah, but there's no doubt about that. You need to go back a little bit into history. You realize that when Malami was the Attorney General of the Federation, UAE came out with a list of people alleged to be sponsoring terrorism.
Wow.
I remember clearly that Malami promised the whole country that, look, oh, don't worry, we would look at it and scrutinize it and then release the names of the sponsors of terrorism. Till he left office, nothing happened. Now, on his current ongoing travel, he has been under investigation before Olukoyede was made the FCC chairman. I mean, we are looking at about over 2 years ago, Malami has been under investigation. Yeah, look, when you are in public office, don't forget that one day you leave the place. Probably he never knew that he was under investigation, but EFCC had to ensure that they have all the evidence, all the materials that they can use to prove a prima facie case, against him before moving. And that's exactly what is going on now. So I'll be surprised that the allegations of financing terrorism will be made, will be made without any evidence, pointing, in that direction. So for me, I think Malami has a lot to
Absolutely. He made bail. We all saw the images online. Him and his son, they were in the courtroom. I believe the son even had on some sun glasses. It speaks to this wider language of bigmanism we have in this country. Even though you are being tried for gross misconduct and now allegedly terrorism financiering, you are still showing up like you're the big boss in town.
I think that for me, I said he made the bail even too fast, but let's not go into that conversation. It says that whenever you're in power, I feel like people should use this Malami story to know that when you're in power, one day you'll step down. And it's the legacy that you're leaving. If he's found guilty of all these allegations, all the hard work that people will say he has done just goes down the drill. Now, we're no more talking about money again. We're talking about guns. This is now criminal. I just hope that, we can take this case like the bull by the horn and not just start this case and let it go down the drill. This is a case that we need to get to the end of it, because this case will prove that, nobody is above the law, and that is how it's supposed to be. So if he's found guilty, I pray and I hope that, he'll be able to, face the what of the law. Because when you ask the question, what is he doing with those ammunitions? Then he has to answer, because you are not supposed to have those ammunitions. So what exactly are you doing with them? I'm just hoping that this case follows through, because oftentimes I'm always worried that we start something very good, but we don't follow through with it. Yes, I saw him, he was looking very energetic when he made the bail, and I was looking at it, I'm like, this man. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one to, speak on it. Let the law take its course. But if he's guilty, he definitely needs to be brought to book. And we're talking about heavy monies. So, I mean, these monies are not even small monies. And now we are now seeing, ammunitions as well.
Absolutely.
Let's see how it goes.
Our trust and our hope right now is that the AFCC does the right
thing. And the DSS as well.
And DSS, that they have the courage to follow through with this case and really put him behind bars.
And bring us back results, actually.
Moving on now to this Rivers case on the Daily Independent. Fubara urges calm and he assures on resolution of ongoing crisis. I think that's putting it very mildly, Mr. Shomi, crisis. You are facing an impeachment. Can you illuminate us on some facts of this? Because over the weekend, we all followed the story. We saw that the Rivers Assembly is moving to ultimately impeach him. Whether this is constitutional or not is still up for grabs. It's still up for discussion. On the other hand, constitutionally, we've said this time and time again, Wike is the minister of the FCT. He does not have supervision of Rivers State. And yes, we find ourselves talking about this time and time again as though he's the governor of Rivers.
No, but when you look at the issues, all the allegations made against Fubara currently, most of them are related to things he did in the past before the resolution, like destruction of the House of Assembly and
complex, yes.
Complex and all that. An issue of not presenting budgets in 2024, 2025, yes. Those ones were outstanding issues, which we all thought had been smoothed over somehow. Then there's a current 2026 budget, which the House alleged that he has not presented. From Fubara's viewpoint, Fubara is of the view that, look, we had a military administrator in IBAS. IBAS presented budgets, a one-year budget, to the National Assembly, and that one-year budget is still running. So there are two different viewpoints on this issue, leading to this issue of impeachment. So whichever or whatever is the case, the House of Assembly is now fully functional. They've taken over the responsibility, from the National Assembly, and therefore they should be the one now looking at the budget. If the House requests for a supplementary budget or a new budget completely, I think Fubara should comply. But I don't think it's necessary to eat up the polity in this way, particularly when we know that even the president is out of the country. But I will tell you something remarkably different from how the issue of Fubara was handled when he was in PDP. You can see many governors and leading party figures, already coming to his defense. It does not matter whether it's right or wrong. The idea of the fact that, they are trying to defend him, to say, look, we will look for a way to resolve this problem. And that's why you see Fubara very calm. And I'm sure that along the line, the president would with him as the national leader of the party to resolve this problem.
Ria, we've seen that, all these headlines are saying that Fubara is remaining relatively calm. Whereas in the media, we've seen Wike be very, very vocal. He has vandalized Fubara on several occasions. He has called him a bad child. He's come out to essentially berate this man, and this man is remaining relatively calm. What do you make of this?
For me, this whole thing happening in Rivers State, it just hurts me for the people of Rivers, because, oftentimes I follow stories a whole lot, and I've been speaking to a lot of people in Rivers, And the fact that all this conflict is happening, it's really disturbing project. It's really worrying them. When you speak to Rivers people, they're like, since Fubara became governor in 2023, it's been one thing or the other. The man has not even been allowed to be a governor, if you ask me, because it's been, I mean, this is somebody 3 times, almost facing impeachment 3 times. So when was he able to sit down and actually do the work in Rivers State? You know, the back and forth is just getting a whole lot. I'm hoping that, this can come to an end. I think Rivers needs peace and tranquility. This is like, Rivers a very important state. We talk about oil. So the fact that we still have this godfatherism in Rivers, I'm somewhat against godfatherism, because it should come in a silent way, not one person just trying to control the actions of someone. I said, when you are elected to be a governor, you have a mind of your own. I'm not saying don't listen to someone, but you cannot take all, instructions from the person. Then why were you there? Are you there as a figurehead? Yeah. So I think that the man also was not allowed to do his job as a governor. I'm just hoping for peace and tranquility. I know that the president also the president has also, shared some thoughts in this particular issue. This is not the first time we're seeing rifts, same Fubara and Wike.
Oh, but we should not forget one thing. I mean, many people tend to have this tendency to want to blame Wike for this, Wike for that. The fact of the matter is, if you go back into history, you will begin to understand these issues clearly. For 24 years, the riverine areas have not been able to produce the governor in Rivers State. Whether you name it from Odili to Celestine Omeher to Amechi, to Wike, they're all uplanders. And one way or the other, Wike managed to do almost the impossible, simply because the uplanders are 60% of the population.
Absolutely.
And what led to the initial quarrel is the issue of the fact that Wike insisted that, look, you cannot dump those who supported you and who helped us in the process of ensuring that you emerge as the governor. That was the initial quarrel, and it went out of hand. So we cannot totally remove Wike from this issue or blame him totally. He has done something fantastic in ensuring, re-engineering the politics of Rivers State. The fact of the matter is, the governor is also wrong. You do not go and destroy. Don't forget there is a Supreme Court judgment.
Exactly. He would tell you that he was not the person. He would tell you that he had
the Supreme Court was very clear that there was absence of governance in Rivers State at that time, and that was what compelled the president to. But I don't even think
that we're trying to blame Wike for anything. Yes. But I'm feeling like these two people, they are both giants. They say that when the elephant fights, who suffers? The ground suffers. So I'm thinking that these people will understand that this fight that we're fighting is going grassroots, and people are actually feeling it. So for me, I'm not even playing blame games. I'm saying that you know that you are there for the people. Why don't you solve your rift to make Rivers people, do better, especially when we talk about projects?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your input, team. And very, very interesting there. We'll follow it and see how that goes. Moving on to this Nigeria paper. Now, these are issues that actually affect the country, not Wike and Fubara. March 2026 deadline. Banks under pressure over recapitalization. 22 have been compliant, and there's been 12 risk measures, or they face a license downgrade. Economists are warning of consolidation and regulatory sanctions. It's time to get our houses in order. I mean, we look at the financial compliance with our banks. Oftentimes they're higher than mighty, and they don't always comply. I think this is wonderful, Mr. Shomi. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think what Cardoso is trying to do with the banks should be encouraged. Yes. I will tell you why. Look, most of our banks are not really performing, those functions of business, in terms of credit business, instead of giving loan and then making their money through loan. They rely on little charges here and there, 50 naira here and there, money on, what do they call it? So many other ways of making money rather than generating money through businesses, by loaning to businesses. How many businesses can afford, to get loans, paying 30% profit? How would you be able to survive? But what you see is that many of them also have cash liquidity problem. And what the CBN is trying to do is to expand their cash base with a view that they will have a huge capacity to be able to loan money and assist businesses within the country. Now, some of them are facing problems trying to raise the funds, from the market. So what you see is we are likely going to see some bigger ones, taking over or merging with the the smaller ones.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
Cardoso is on the right path with enforcing this regulation.
But you know, I was also looking at it, you know, when you talk about Oceanic Bank, do you remember Oceanic Bank? Some
yes,
of those
I remember.
banks that used to be like really big before, we don't hear about them again. I really believe in merging. I believe that if you're a bank and you're not able, you know, to work on your own, because then again, the people suffer. Imagine having your money in that bank, you're not sure is it going to liquidate, is it not going to liquidate? So I think what Cardoso is doing is a very fantastic idea.
It is. It's to make the banks stronger.
We've got to move on as juicy as banks are. Moving on to the Platform Times. Outrage at Katsina plans release of 70 banditry suspects. Maria, please speak to this, because we've spoken many times that we do not negotiate with terrorists. On the other hand, certain people in government say negotiate with them, but negotiating with them in so-so manner and so-so manner. And that's not it's not very popular online. A lot of people feel as though we are negotiating with terrorists at the detriment of Nigerians.
For me, precisely, I do not believe in negotiation with these terrorists, because I tell you what, Mr. Shomi, I said it the other day that when you keep negotiating with these people, they feel like they have some sort of power over you. And over a period of time, that is why they've been doing different things. Even when the president speaks, even when, you know, we see that things are being put in place to make sure that we end security, the next thing the next thing you hear, bandits have attacked a particular place again. I do not understand what they mean by release of the bandits. You know, if these people are gotten, these people are supposed to face the wrath of the Lord. These people are supposed to be locked, life imprisonment as well, because these are the same people that are killing, you know, killing mothers, killing children, you know, abducting our girls. I've never believed in negotiation, Mr. Shomi, and I think that is something that we should we should remove from the whole conversation. We should find other ways to make sure that we get these people, rather than say that we want to sit down and stand. It's just like negotiating with a criminal. What conversation do you want to get out of it?
Mr. Shomi, the Katsina government has come out to defend this. They say that about 1,000 abductees have been freed as a release, as a result of them negotiating with these terrorists, because they released the banditry suspects. They say that because of that, 1,000 abductees in Katsina indigents have been released. They also say that there's some lawyers on the other hand and CSOs that have now raised legal concerns that this is not constitutional. How can you release men who rain terror on communities?
The only reason why those 1,000 were kidnapped in the first instance is simply because we were negotiating, you know, with terrorists rather than you know, dealing with them. So, and that's what we call the non-kinetic approach and all that. And then we've seen so many images of it on TV. It makes the rest of us less safe the moment you start negotiating with terrorists. It means we are not tough on terrorism, which is not the message we want to send out. Because you can see how it's been mutating in different forms and spreading.
Absolutely, it's
not make them feel like we're weak.
It's like an economy on its own. So therefore, that is not the kind of economy we need to encourage. So it's time that we stop negotiating with terrorists and just plunder.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Moving on to the Punch newspapers. Ministries, departments and agencies inject 3.5 trillion naira new projects despite federal government freeze. Now, this is very interesting because this is a contradiction at the center of government. Government has essentially said no new projects, especially not capital projects for this year, and yet there's a 3-point-something trillion naira budget, Mr. Shomi, that the MDAs are now saying, look, we need the money, we need the cash.
Well, somehow it found itself into the budget, so we don't know whether there's executive approval for that. That's something we don't know. So we might need to hear from the government itself. But
they had already said no.
Yes, they said
we're wondering
no
why this project came in again, because we've been looking at projects that we did not even follow through, projects in 2025 that we did not finish, that have followed us back to 2026, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can understand the spirit of why the government felt that we don't need new projects currently. I mean, we have about 18 trillion abandoned projects in the country. We need to complete some of these things because it will end up becoming a waste. So if the Tinubu's administration is also, you know, embarking on projects and leaving some uncompleted, it will only keep building the abandoned project. And the government felt it's time to stop that practice and deal with the issue. So I like that from that viewpoint. So if there are needs for new projects, maybe they've made a case for it. I don't know.
And interesting to note that new projects now only take 15% of capital spending, which means money is going to be spread thinner across existing projects to even finish them. But we've got to move on, running out of time. On the Leadership newspaper, still on recapitalization, which we spoke about earlier, on recapitalization of banks and Cardoso's regulation. Experts highlight anesthetic shortage as Chimamanda's lawyers give hospital ultimatum over son's death. Ria, we saw that.
Such a sad
may his soul rest in perfect peace. Nkanu Adichie Sege was his name, and now they're now saying that there's a shortage of anesthesiologists in the country. This now it has raised deeper concerns about our health complex.
It's so sad,
in Nigeria.
and a fashion designer has also come out to speak about that same hospital. I'm not going to mention the name, although the name is out there. You know, I think that with our hospitals, there's a lot of negligence. I read that story, and it just really, really broke my heart. But may he rest in peace. It's a sad one, and I think that they should pick it up with the hospital, because I also listened to what she put out as well, and I feel like it's high time that hospitals need to be accountable for things that they do. You know, if they're the ones that were there and this negligence happens, I feel like they should bear the what.
Absolutely.
Our lawyers have already picked up on it.
I trust her. I know she's not going to.
We'll discuss more of that in trending now. The Nigerian News Direct says Heritage Bank, written boldly in red, the NDIC declares 24.3 billion naira second liquidation dividend for depositors. Now, Mr. Shomi, Heritage Bank, it's a very embattled bank, as we know. I believe they went under late 2024, if I'm correct. Somehow they're still making headlines.
Yeah, don't forget that there are depositors. There are those who deposited huge amount of money, 500, 1 billion, 2 billion, 5 billion naira. And there are those who deposited lesser amounts. So many of those who deposited to under 2 million were able to recover their money very quickly. Even 5 million through the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. So they got paid earlier. Now, after that, they had to liquidate the banks, sell off the properties, the assets, and then pay off the others. And that's what's going on currently.
Who would have thought you're also an economist, Mr. Shomi? Moving on to the Sporting Life paper, AFCON MVP, most valuable player, Ademola Lookman leads Mo Salah. Very interesting. Our boys are shining. Quickly, before we wrap, your prediction for the next match.
The next match
against Morocco.
Let me say 2-0 as well. Let me stay with 2-0. But I just want to speak about...
Against Morocco, 2-1.
2-1. I just want to speak about the Super Eagles. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And I think right about now, we need to give them all the accolades they deserve. We need to pep them up in ways that, will make them that when they get to the field, they just give us those goals, because they've been doing something great. It's good to see that they are now taking charge, because we've complained a lot of times. It seems that they're listening. Well done, Super Eagles.
Mr. Shomi wanted to change his prediction after hearing
well done.
2-1 in our favor anyway.
In our favor.
You're in our favor, yes.
Well, that's it for the newspaper review. Coming up on TVC Breakfast, INEC sets the tone for 2027. A firm pledge on technology, transparency and discipline in the electoral process. Do stay with us for this conversation.